Hello, everyone. Dana Canneto here. I'm so happy to be here connecting with you all. And thank you so much, everybody. Sharice and everyone who's, in the back end here doing all this. This is so great. And I so enjoyed listening to some of you. So I'm going to give you a really brief scenario, just who I am, just to introduce myself. But what I want to start with is a bit of a spiritual metaphor in terms of part of my story and what I've been through and how it really took a full circle into my self actualization of why I'm here, my sacred purpose, and how I help other women step into their highest purpose and sacred self. So I'm Dana Canneto. I'm an embodiment guide, a feminine essence guide, and also an intuitive mentor for spiritual entrepreneurs and just women who are knowing that there's that next level, that next incarnation of what they're here to do, but maybe stuck in confusion or self-doubt, or just can't see the forest from the trees. Like they just have that yearning, that knowing, and it's on a spectrum, right? So it's women who are hybrid. Maybe they're still at their jobs and they're looking to see what is that next incarnation? Why am I here? What am I here to step into? And it's also for aspiring, emerging, and current day leaders who know that they have more spiritual gifts to bring into the world, to bring into their mission. Because my biggest passion and greatest joy is watching a woman unfold, unearth, unfurl. And I'm going to speak a lot about this today, and bringing her gifts to the world so that she can live out her ultimate legacy. And I'm going to talk about frequency too, because this talk is really about embodying your purpose and being in your natural frequency, elevating your frequency so you can live your legacy. And there's two prongs to that I'm going to share. But first, I just want to share a little bit about my journey and a story that started way, way, way very early on. And when I remembered this story as I was late in my spiritual ascension, my journey, I was just kind of smitten, like, wow, this was such a metaphor for what I actually do in the world. And I will trust that you'll relate in some way. And I'm going to use some slides in between too, just to kind of bring you into a little bit about exactly what I do and why it's so important, and then ways in which you can do that. So at about 3 or 4 years old, I don't remember exactly how old I was. And funny enough, I don't need the slides yet. Funny enough, my mother doesn't remember either, but I was put into this pageant. It was Miss Carvel pageant. And all I remember was standing on the stage, and they asked what our favorite flavor was. There was 3 of us remaining. So we were like the last 3. And I remember looking over at this little girl, and I could swear from my memory and perception, right? Because we don't always, a lot of what we remember, we perceive. A lot of our stories aren't always exactly how we remember them. But I do remember she had on lip gloss and maybe a little like blush on her cheeks. And I was very, even at that age, 3 or 4, I was just looking at her in awe of just how beautiful this little girl was. And when they asked the question, what is your favorite flavor? I remember thinking, well, everybody likes chocolate. Like chocolate's probably the right answer. Meanwhile, there's no right answer to that question, right? And this little girl said chocolate. And I'm sitting over here, and I didn't really like chocolate. I liked vanilla. And I had to stay to that. Like I was so, part of my biggest value even today is being in integrity. And so I went up to the microphone, so shy, so reserved. I couldn't even believe my mother put me in this thing because I was such a shy, sensitive, young child. And I wanted to tell the truth. And so I said vanilla. And I became, I landed in number 1, but I did not win. And I remember sitting in the car, believe it or not, at this age, on my way home, so upset and so mad that I gave the wrong answer. And also so upset that this little girl had on makeup, and of course she won. She was so beautiful and so pretty. And I tell you the story because throughout my entire childhood, I had this way of seeing the beauty, the intricacy, the quirkiness, but the beauty and the quirkiness of every single human being I came in communication with, especially girls, because they were my friends. I really wasn't into having boyfriends yet. And the blessing was that And the curse was that I could not see it in myself. And because a lot of the things that I incurred in my upbringing that I didn't realize until later on when I went through my awakening, which I will share soon, is that I had this vision for other people, like I said, but I couldn't see it within myself because of the things that I incurred as a child. And so that catapulted me on a multifaceted, multi-layered journey that a lot of us women go through, where I truly just disconnected in middle school from everything that I ever loved, from dance, from drama, from music, because it just wasn't cool. And I lived in a very small town with a lot of judgments, and especially from the friends that I had at the time. And as I went on through my years in high school, very shy, kind of reserved, except for when I was with my group of friends and the women that the girls that I really liked being with. But I landed into a place of partying a lot and drinking and doing everything I could to really dissociate from my body. I was very hard on myself. I always had to, perfection was like the thing that I needed to be in order to fit into society. And once I got into college, had the time of my life, again, a lot of partying, all of that, I came home and I fell into a deep depression. And the way I see it now was that I fell into this depression because I realized that I'm now being birthed out into the world and I have no idea who I am. I have no idea what my purpose is. And I'm coming home to, a mother who's maybe a little controlling, and I just had this life of freedom for 4 years. And so I fell into the trap of an eating disorder and really, again, disconnecting from my body. And in 2001, I had my first spiritual awakening where I fainted multiple times. I went to the hospital. My vitals were pretty much shut down. And due to malnourishment, I was also dabbling in drugs at the time and alcohol. And again, everything that could just, cut me off from who I am, who I'm here to be. And I thought during that journey from 2001 to 2010, I was in a really good place. I was like, wow, I feel so much better. My body feels great. I'm not going to say it was easy. It was hard. It was very hard in the beginning. And then came 2010, and this is where it gets good. 2010 was when my father passed away, and about 2 weeks after that, I had a spiritual awakening that I can't really describe in words. And what happened in that awakening was I just fell to my knees and had these voices and this feeling and everything in my felt sense, intuitive knowing that I was not living the life I was here to live. I was in a corporate position in advertising for, at that time, maybe 20 years or something, as a producer, very high stress. I was very, commuting 3 hours a day. And I also realized that this person that I just moved in with right after my father passed, who is now my husband, our relationship wasn't even, in a place that we were thriving. And so all I knew at that point was my life was going to drastically change, and I didn't know how. And I was on my knees crying, thinking, what is next? I don't even know what's next, but there was a calling. And through that calling, I went on a vision quest to seeking my purpose. And when I started out, I thought, well, I'm going to be a health coach. Because of my history with my body, I want to help women feel whole and centered and beautiful and in their body and feed themselves and nourish themselves in the way that they are meant to. And so I started as a health coach. And about 1.5 years or so after that, because I started going on this journey of self-discovery and spiritual mentors were coming in, and I was dabbling in shamanism and sacred facilitation and priestess training and you name it, everything that came to me, I was just thirsty and hungry for myself. And I was on and off a little bit with my purpose, my business, because I was like, well, I got to get it right. And I'm like, I got to get this right. And so I would like stop and go, until I realized that I really wanted to help women just connect with their bodies, to feel really whole within themselves, similar to the health coaching, but not so much in the nutrition field. And during that journey, what I awakened to and understood was that our bodies are not just physical. Our bodies are a source of so much wisdom and so much information. And what I came to realize in my sleeping states, in my waking states and everything, and I had this bubbling inside of me of like, I just want every woman to feel her divinity. And I knew that the way through that was through her body. But still, going back to when I was 3 years old, this haunting other voices in my head are telling me that I can't do that, or telling me that I'm not good enough. And what I battled with for years, my whole life, most of my whole life, was dysmorphia. And I want to be really clear about this being a very, everybody's journey is different. Yet to me, what I've experienced was not just with the body, it's a very much of an inner and outer dysmorphic view of oneself. And the reason why I call that a metaphor in the very beginning is because this is such our spiritual journey. We forget who we are. And this happened to me so early on, and like it does for many of us. And then we go on these paths that are conditioned or according to somebody else or what they want, and then we completely lose ourselves. And so what I found to be true when I was helping women who were really suffering and couldn't connect with their true selves, or within my work, I'd help women with relationships and all areas and all things. And what I then realized was the point in suffering was because they were just not living their purpose. They didn't have a purpose. And so my love and my greatest joy is helping women land in that, their highest expression. And I'm going to share a little bit about how I do that. But first, I do want to go into the slides and share a little bit about my work in the way of, who it is that I'm really helping and who is she? Because the basis of my work is actually called the Luminary Woman. This Luminary Woman is a woman who is embodied in her sacred purpose. So we can go ahead with the slides. Thank you. And so here is the Luminary Woman. And this is what I mean by this whole talk today about elevating your frequency to live your legacy. When we can stay in our highest frequency and our highest vibration, I want to be really clear with this too. This isn't just like, oh, you suppress everything and you go up and you be in the highest vibration. No, it's doing everything that we can to be in self-care, self-love, self-compassion, managing our energetic hygiene, our spirituality, stepping into our sacred work. And one of the parts of this is the spiritual mentorship that I help women through from a very intuitive place. Because what I am able to do is see the frequency of who they are. It's one of my gifts. I'm going to go into that in a little bit later and how that came to be, to help other women really activate their soul gifts, their sacred medicine that they're here to bring to the world. And we each have them. Everybody has them. So I'm going to share a little bit about some of the reasons why maybe we're not bringing them out into the world, or one of the reasons why you might not be so centered in your business. But again, Dana, I introduced myself a little bit before, helping soul-inspired, mission-driven women really unearth their deeper gifts, embody their highest expression, and embrace this luminary woman within. I'm going to share a little bit about who she is. And again, it's really for women, if this sounds like you, who are just ready to take your life and business to the next level and embody your sacred self. And I mean this in life and in our business, because they're one and the same. When we're doing this sacred work for others, we have to heal what's in ourselves that's stopping us. Maybe we're in projection at times, and I see that a lot in the industry now. This goes back to the integrity piece of really being in that sacred facilitation. Our relationships flow into what we're doing. Sometimes we have these wonky things going on in relationships that really, hurt us. And so my legacy and why I do what I do is because I know what it really feels like. And I could feel that passion in my heart of not really seeing your true self, of being kind of confused or disconnected at whatever level layer you're at. We all have trauma, big trauma, little trauma, right? That we hold on to, that stops us from being in that fullest expression, or stops us from really seeing the beauty of who we are, the power of who we are, and also breaking through the walls and being the actual rebel, the resilient rebel, in sharing your gifts in the world and surpassing whatever judgment you think you're going to get, or whatever judgment you might get from your family or anything. And I'm going to get into that too, so that you can just step out in full confidence and full conviction. And a lot of my work is being that outer expression, because we have to do the inner work. We have to heal and do the inner work to be able to express ourselves in the way that we're here to be expressed, because our luminary lights, the luminous light that you are, it needs to shine so that we can not just, heal and help the people that we're working with, but we can walk around like that. And people are like, I need her. I want to work with her, or I just want to be friends with her. I want to hang out with her, or I just want to be with her because my frequency feels so good when I'm with her. And this is how we are going to be able to heal humanity. And this is where you can then share your voice to this new earth that is emerging. And so I just get very lit up and very passionate about that because I want every woman to just see the beauty and the power that she is. So is this a little bit like you? Because it wasn't me many times. You wake up, you're inspired. You're like, all right, this day I got it. Like I did my mantras last night. I now know how to raise my frequency and be in the energy and all that. And then all of a sudden by the end of the day, one thing happens and you're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm totally done. I just can't. I can't do it anymore. And this is what I mean by elevating your frequency, finding those ways. One of the things I say is that I'm like that healer, leader, mentor for leaders who don't want to air their dirty laundry out in the world because I am that sacred space. I am that person that can, so objective. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. And I want to help you know that you're not crazy, know that you are just who you are. You're not broken. And that you got this, and maybe elevate and amplify what you might not be able to see in yourself because I can see it in you. And maybe you relate to one of these. So these are some of the things that I find will cause us to be in this place of just, down in the dumps or just not feeling in our right frequency, is aside from outer circumstances, right, that will affect us and our businesses and our mission, you're not aligned to your fullest expression. You're suppressing yourself in some way. You're not always trusting your next level. Your life circumstances are impacting your frequency. That's huge within relationships, within family, or just little things throughout the day, right? That are just knocking you down. A lot of the people that I do work with, a lot of the women that I work with are very sensitive. They're empathic. So they're taking on energies from other people. They don't know how to, distinguish themselves from others. And I want to say to empathic and sensitive are like massive gifts that aren't always harnessed because they're in shadow. Your inner voices maybe aren't so positive and affecting, how you're feeling about yourself. And you're more into thinking and doing versus being. And so that's another thing. Being able to take those sacred moments and being in your feminine so you can take those breaks and tapping in and tuning into, what is it? What is your next level? Trusting it, trusting that gut, that, your power in your solar plexus and your sacral, which leads into your sacred work. Another thing, right, that most of us, many of us that I see anyway, is that our calling is first of all, so much greater than what we might be doing. And it's also calling to embody a higher expression of who you are. And think about a brand, right? Your brand is who you are. So when we're not embodying our full selves or stepping into this higher expression, energy won't be aligned, your emotions won't be able to be in check, blocks and beliefs are still in the way, so those need to be rewired, and your true magic is to be unearthed. And it's still hiding out, it's still down there. And these are the things that I help women do. And I work in a lot of different modalities, from somatic facilitation, shamanic work, which shamanic work involves ceremonial work with journeying and helping you. I meet with my guides and get information and insights as to your sacred work in the world. And I also use, for some women, because I use a very intuitive approach depending on where you come in at and how I would be able to best serve you, is also through sacred dance. And that was a modality. I'm going to go back to my story in a minute because it's really a pivotal moment in my discovering my purpose, is helping women really connect to their bodies, their magic within themselves. And this sacred dance modality that was co-created with Spirit, which was downloaded to me in the shower. I knew it was coming for about a year. Dance was a big part of sacred movement. Also, I refer to as it was a big part of my healing journey. And that really helps women, again, connect with the body, uncover their magic, tune in, get really connected to source, especially with the frequencies of music that I guide women through within that. And that is called revival dance. And again, I'll go a little bit back to that story if we have time. But what I want to say here is that when you are aligned, everything flows, and from there it grows. So when you're in that highest frequency, if you can think about moments when you're in that alignment and things start happening, you're in that alignment. And even think about aside from your work in the world, right? If you're not an entrepreneur or whatnot, it's like when you're aligned, your relationships work, right? You feel happy, you feel freer. And so when we can have the tools to stay in that alignment, to stay in that space, then we can thrive. Everything flows, everything grows. So later on, again, if we have time here, I am going to be sharing just a really quick, powerful experience where you can connect with your higher self, your higher vision, your deeper gifts, and this luminary woman within. So who is the luminary woman? The luminary woman is a woman who is in her sovereignty. She's in her empowerment. She owns her power. And I want to be really clear on something, because I talk a lot about embodying your feminine, but this also involves embodying your healthy masculine. So this is integrating the polarities of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Because when we are mission-driven women and we are here to do great things in the world, we can not just be all flowy and are, receiving and just being like, it's just going to come, right? I've learned that lesson. So we really have to be in our feminine to where we can feel, we can heal, we can grow, we can evolve, we can use our intuitive creativity to trust your deeper gifts and bring them into the container of the work that you're here to bring into the world, married with this aligned divine masculine of taking action, of running the business in a way that feels so aligned to you, because otherwise it's not going to work. And that's another thing, another part of my passage that I took to where I realized nothing felt authentic, but I kept doing it. I had to learn a lot of self-trust in this. So it's trusting your intuition, listening within yourself radically, and dance. I always look at this metaphor as the dance. And it is the dance into what works for you, what is your design, what are the gifts you're here to bring. And a lot of times what I notice with the women I work with is it's not so cookie cutter. We are all so magnificent with different magic. And it might be something that's not out there in the world. And that's such a beautiful thing. And so that I love that, because we can get really creative with all of that. And the luminary woman also is someone who, not just in her work in the world, but in her life, can make decisions. Again, trust herself, and is also heal. She's on that path of healing. We're always growing, right? And so my intention is to really show you ways you can access her and live into it. So I always knew I was meant for more freedom, always. Like even when I was in my job, I'm like, I just know this is not meant for me. And in my late 30s, I was like, well, it's too late now. And now what I say, it's never too late. It is never too late wherever you are. And I just, it's the permission to walk our divine paths, no matter what other people say. That's important, and release the conditioning and the societal and all of that. So what it required me to do when I knew, I need freedom, I need to get out of this rut, is that I had to reconnect with my body. And these are some of the ways that we can start here, right? Reconnecting to our body. And I'll show you some ways to do that. Connecting to your intuition, which is in your body. And when I was doing all these things, and this was through that sacred movement at first, was that I was really everything was starting to unearth. Everything was starting to reawaken within me of what I always knew to be true. What were my superpowers? What were my gifts? What were when I remembered, right? And then coming back to that place of really remembering so that I can reclaim them and then release the things that are in the way. So that is some of the work that we do here in this with the Luminary Woman, is we remember, because as women, we have forgotten how to do this. And we reawaken to who we truly are, and we recall the things, the gifts, the aspects of you that are living within you now. They haven't gone away. They haven't been shut down, although people say they've been shut down. They are there. There's just a few layers on top of it that we need to peel away. And so those gifts to not just be actualized, but for them to be activated. And I hear this all the time. The women that do my work, they're like, I never was able to be clairvoyant before, or I could always maybe just feel, but I never really trusted it because I couldn't see things, or they will all open. For me, clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient, those are my top three, and those developed over time. So you have all these within you, and it's just being able to build the muscle and remember the gifts that you have within you. And I always say it's like, it doesn't matter what work you're doing, even if you're not doing necessarily healing work. I've worked with course creators and branding people. And in fact, I'm partnering with a branding person to help women step more into their essence in their branding, because that was some of the results that I was getting with these women. So as we forget how to do this, we're here to remember that you are here to thrive and feel alive. And the way to this is what I'm going to be sharing with you today, which I kind of shared a little bit already, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. And again, this is for you. You're wanting to align your energy with your vision, embody your deeper gifts, balance your feminine, masculine energies, and live your life and work in the world. All this, the clarity, the confidence, the understanding of your deeper gifts, and really embodied in your mind, body, and soul. And the number one thing that stops a woman from being in her fullest expression is this: generational, gestational, societal, familial patterns of shame and unworthiness leading, which I spelled wrong, to self-doubt and staying stuck in confusion. As you can see, I'm no longer a perfectionist. It doesn't bother me in the least. I kind of have to laugh at it. So when you are stuck in these feelings, and a lot of time women are like, well, I feel like I healed the shame within me, right? So much of this is unconscious. So much of it is subconscious. And we have to look at what is happening in my world, what's happening in my business, what's happening in my relationships, what's happening in my dreams, in my psyche, in the way I think about myself, because that'll be a pure reflection of where there is still shame, unworthiness, self-doubt running the show. If you're not feeling fulfilled and you are in a state of confusion and staying stuck, that's often a place of just, resistance, sometimes unconscious resistance, not saying that you are resisting consciously, but some fear is stuck in there, or maybe owning the gifts that you're really here to bring, owning who you truly are. It's not just the gifts, but your fullest expression, because many of us as women have been suppressed. Feminine wounds, have felt shame for just being. It doesn't even need to be a specific thing. Trauma, wounding can be at any level, right? We all experience it differently. And when I say generational, gestational, meaning through our ancestors, through our lineage, and that's, part of the shamanic work I do, is getting a better understanding of where the blocks and these things are within you that need to be released and healed, so that we can bring in the powerful gifts that you're here to own. And again, the suffering from what I realized through all the work I was doing over the years was that these women were just not living their purpose. And I get it. I relate, because that's where I was. So it's like I kind of had to go through my own journey to come full circle and realize, oh, this is why I'm going through this passage. A lot of deep, dark soul of the moments that I tell all my women I work with about them, because it helps them realize that they're not alone, and these things happen when we're going on the spiritual path. Yet there is a way, and there's a level that you get to when you learn how to elevate your frequency, so that those don't bump you out of place. Those don't do the stop and go like I was doing, and that you can really step into the next evolution of your life's path, your sacred purpose, unearth your deeper gifts. And I know I might sound repetitive here, but this is really what it's about. And you are here to carve your own path. And I want to just share with this for a moment, because this is an aspect of the luminary essence. Before we step into this luminary woman we're here to be, luminary essence is the unique blueprint of who you are, your sacred identity. It encompasses the deep-rooted aspects of your soul, including your life mission. It's a natural light-giving body that is reflective of the interconnectedness between you and the greater cosmic order, suggesting that your soul carries a specific purpose and path in the grand tapestry of existence, which is your legacy. Your luminary essence represents the quintessential woman, the luminary woman, as I call it, within you, the unique and sacred ethos of who you are at your core, and a guiding compass to your divine assignment and unique expression in the world. And in essence, your brand, which is simply who you are. And so this is the work that I do. And I'm going to share some ways you can do this. But the way, if you don't know your why, you'll lose your way. Your why is your way. And I'm not talking about your why as in probably the logical way that you have done the exercises of knowing your why, but it's going deep within of knowing that your purpose is the reason for your existence. It's your expression. It's your gifts, abilities, medicine. It's the reason you're here, your why, your soul's path. and your path is your way. The trials and tribulations, your successes, your soul's lessons, your dance with the light and the shadow. And that's a huge part. We're not here to disown our shadow or poo-poo it. Like, we're not here to judge it. Sometimes our shadow is like the most shiniest aspects of ourself that we've disowned. And the trifecta to getting there is reviving, embodying, and emerging as the woman you're here to be. And these are the 3 steps that I take women through in all of my work, no matter what level, what I'm doing, and in different modalities. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, but I'm going to shut the slides down at this point and just talk to you from, one-on-one here, just to share a little bit about how this is done and where you can start. So this trifecta of revive, embody, emerged is a process that was developed over 3 years. And this was part of me really finding my path. So in 2010, after I had that awakening, right, years later, I went on a passage to Colorado for 2 years where I embarked in this program and I became an apprentice. And in that apprentice role, I had a lot of other things realized, even in the program as well, that not only was I using this modality of sacred movement as a way for me to really connect with my body, but something happened at that retreat in a room with women when we were all dancing, and I felt the resonance that this was not new. This is not the first time I met these women. We were all here together. Bad things happened to us in the past lives together, if you know anything about witch wounds or relate to witch wounds. And I dropped to my knees again in tears, but this time it wasn't out of despair. It was out of just, wow, I just came home. And I have chills all over. I just came home, and I'm emotional because this is the part of us that we've suppressed. This is the part of our gifts, the part of our deepest sacred essence of who we are in our feminine. And through dance, through this embodied movement, I was able to reconnect with the source within myself, source within myself, whether it's God, source, universe. And through that, I started to feel the pain and the suffering and also the passion for helping women just light up the way I did when I was a little girl. The way that I saw this girl on stage, I knew she was going to win. She was just like, oh, and I was here. That was my soul's journey. I had to experience that to have this self-real actualization of my path and being able to, have this passion for wanting women to really step into the fullness of who they are. And so when I was in this dance, I knew something was being birthed. And like I said, it was birthed in the shower. If you didn't hear that part, you can back up a little bit, but I ran out of the shower. My husband's like, what are you doing? I didn't even put a towel on. I'm like, I just need to write this down. And Revival Dance was birthed. And it's 9 portals bringing women through this experience of remembering, reawakening, remembering, recalling, reviving their spirit, their soul's essence, and why they're truly here. And that was the first phase of it. And then Embody came through the next year when I went through a passage with this archetype of the Empress, which was very different than what I knew of it to be out there in the way that it's depicted. And it's such a loving, graceful, feminine journey into these 9 feminine activations. And then a year later, I got, I feel like almost like confirmed with these 9 sacred rites that helped women then embody these higher consciousness codes, these rites, for them to step into the luminary woman she is here to be. And through that passage, which is now a program, Luminary Essence, I also then developed after that the next phase of it, which is the Luminary Woman. And that is all about this conscious creation, how we can be in the divine feminine and the divine masculine as we, look at what still needs to be, released and healed and moving through these aspects. And the basis of my work is very foundational is shamanism, which is a lot about, if you've ever heard of, the aspect of soul loss or soul retrieval, it's very much around that. I don't necessarily do the drumming healing journeys through that. I use the body as the shamanic vehicle. And the drumming I do for these ceremonies that I alluded to, where I connect with my guides and they show me very much so, past experiences that will inform you of what might be in the way, as well as future and present understandings and knowing of who you're here to step into. And I align this and marry this with my gift of seeing. And there's this piece that I've had since, again, my entire life, but I thought everybody could do this, is that when I'm with a woman, it's like I can almost say to her, maybe I can almost see within herself what is in the way. I'm trying to describe it exactly and how it would make sense, but it's this aspect of, it's almost like I can hear her, what her voice sounds like. I can understand where maybe she laughs to, cover up something else within her, which might be insecure, or just immediately feeling the presence of what needs to be removed, because I can so see her potentiality and who she is here to be. And so a lot of the process is very intuitive, despite the journeying and the ceremony. But a few ways that the reason why I talk about frequency is because, for one, we have to be in this higher elevated frequency to do our soul's work. And I mean soul's work, whether that's in your family, whether your soul's mission, which is mostly whom I do work with, women who are mission driven and really have we all have purposes, right? But really want to bring something so grand to the world and not really sure what that is or what that looks like, or hiding out in her gifts. And we need to be in that frequency, but also there's two prongs. Remember, I said this in the beginning. The second prong is that for us to be in that high frequency, we can't be there unless we're living our purpose. So it's twofold. You can know when you're not fully living your purpose, when your frequency is diminished, when your frequency feels suppressed. And there's a story that I heard once, a very short story, that blew me away, because this was after I developed the dance. And it was when a person goes to a shaman who is feeling dispirited, disconnected, and the shaman would say to them, "When did you stop dancing?" Because what a shaman believed to be true was that when one stopped dancing, and this means figuratively, all of it, right? When one stops dancing, one has been disconnected from their true soul's purpose, their essence, why they're truly here, why they're here. And so I look at dance not just in one of the modalities that I use, but that we're human and we're spiritual, and we're here to dance with both. We're feminine and we're masculine, and we're here to dance with both. And we're here to just embody and entrust what's going on within us, where we're being led, and really let source guide us and surrender to that and trust that, so that we can thrive and we can create the level of wealth we are here to create. And I mean that in every aspect. Wealth actually drives from the word health. So think about being healthy in all areas of your life, being healthy financially, being healthy in your relationships, being healthy in your purpose. Who wouldn't want that, right? And so when we are living in our purpose and divinely aligned, we can do that. So here's a few ways you can start. So first and foremost, when I went on my journey, what I realized was that I needed to go through my health coaching experience to heal my physical body. There is something to say about your body and what you put in your body of being that frequency, right? So what you're eating, what you're ingesting, what you're allowing into your sphere from others, from everything, even in your relationships. What conversations are you allowing to be had? What are you allowing yourself to watch? Now, I'm not talking about rigidity here, right? So we don't have to go we need to have some fun, but we also need to understand and trust our bodies as to, does this feel in alignment with me? Does this feel good to me? And if your body doesn't feel good, trust that and listen to that. So now that's more on the physical level. So something you can play with, and then I'm gonna give you a little free gift there too, so you can start to feel into some of these things that I'm talking about today. The other is the emotional, right? Which also, our physical body can affect us emotionally. But tuning in, trusting your body in every moment. What is affecting me emotionally? And being so in tune and not judging yourself. Not going into, I'm so sensitive, or I'm wounded, or any of these kind of victim mentality places that we all do as humans, but going in and realizing and giving yourself self-love, connecting with that inner child that's having some emotional, whether it's a breakdown, whether it's just a feeling, and really integrating your higher self with that inner child, and leading her and guiding her and connecting with her and having so much compassion with her. The other piece is the mental, right? What is going on in our minds? What's feeding us? What are we listening to on the daily? And so I always kind of, sometimes I'll ask a woman, like, what are you doing to help yourself, right? At this point, and they'll say, I'm listening to podcasts and listening to all these things. And I'm always like, okay, it goes deeper than that, right? It goes deeper than just the listening. But I will say, when it comes to the mental, right? What are you ingesting every day? What are you listening to? And just knowing that those voices in your head are just there to protect you. They were formulated when we were very young, and they're just there to protect you. And lastly, the spiritual, right? We have to align ourselves with our spiritual self. And this is the sacred part that I really want to talk about. And I'm almost through here. I know we're getting, I think, the 15-minute mark almost, but this is the piece that I think is the hardest for a lot of women to do, because there's like this deservingness, right? Or boundaries, or the radical self-care in terms of being in our sovereignty. And this is something that I'm sure you've heard before, but maybe not in this way. So much of what women I have learned is it's required for us to ask ourselves every day, for us to pray about, for us to integrate within ourselves, is forgiveness. Forgiveness to where we feel we did something wrong, forgiveness to somebody else. And when I say forgiveness, by the way, I'm not saying it's okay for what somebody else did, but these aspects of raising our frequency so that we're not in lower frequency energies of anger, of resentment, of even towards ourselves, right? So it's a sacred practice. It's an everyday muscle to build. It's like a workout. And it's, when I say spiritual, it doesn't matter where you fit in the paradigm of things, what your spiritual beliefs are. Spirituality is just being in alignment with the sacred, being in service of yourself and of God, which is one and the same, right? Yes, there's a higher power, and we are a part of this higher power, that we're here to live out this frequency, that we are here to live in our divine and our highest purpose. And so when we can align ourselves spiritually, and we can be in conscious communication, which is another level and beautiful part of my work, because communication we're doing every single day in our relationships with people. And so we have to make sure that we are staying in alignment with our values. We're not getting into somebody else's projections or making it mean something. Believe it or not, this is all spirituality. I think a lot of times we think spiritual is just meditating and going up there. And a lot of times this is a very much shamanic based work, is that everything is interconnected. We are always being guided. We are always being led. When you go out in nature and you see a reflection of something, that a cardinal, that, a hummingbird at your window or something, every single thing is divinely there for you, and a message, including our relationships, our relations. Oftentimes our relationships are put together for us to heal within ourselves what needs to be healed. They're spiritual partnerships, as Gary Zukav calls it, if you ever heard of him. And so it's really important to connect to the sacred self and infuse sacred rituals. So my free gift that I have for you is, before I conclude here, just to name it, is on my website, danacanneto.com, there's a free gift that you can download there. And it's a free guide to elevating your a free guide to aligned purpose. Now I'm forgetting it. Sorry, embodied purpose and aligned purpose and embodied something. Isn't that great? I totally anyway, it's there for you. And it's on, again, the perfection piece. I'm laying that down. So it is on the, embodied living, aligned purpose, embodied living. There's a free guide there. And at the end of that free guide, and go through it, just like breathe, go through it and just receive. And there's all these different rituals, and it's just a place to start where you can infuse so much self-care, from energetic hygiene to physical body to all the things I talked about here. That's just the first step. And then there's also a link at the back of that guide, and it's called Vitality. It's a 6-week program. It's like $297 or something. If you wanted to check that out, that's another beautiful next step to go into it. And by all means, peruse my website. It's under construction, so there's a few pages that don't match, again, the perfection piece. But you can also schedule a free call with me, and we can connect and just talk about where you are and maybe where I can help you. I have several different offerings. And I want to conclude, before we leave here, I do want to conclude with a little bit of an exercise that I would like to guide you through. And then we're going to come out of it. I'm just going to leave you with one last thing, and then we'll be done. So if you would just like to take your, take yourself in your seat if you're able. If you're driving, just tune into your heart, tune into your center. If you're somewhere where you can't just connect and sit, that's okay. Just bring all of your awareness to your body. And I want you to bring imagine you're bringing all the tendrils that are all over the place of your energy, maybe stuck with other people, into what you were just doing, feeling your feet on the ground, feeling your seat on your sit bones on the seat, and just bringing all your energy in. And as all that energy is coming in, all the energy that's not yours is just going right down into the balls of your feet, into the earth. And just being with that for a moment, and just imagining however your gifts show up, whether it's a visualization, cognizant, any form, way, and noticing what that is too if you're unsure, and just letting all that energy leave out of the balls of your feet, going into the earth, and just feeling your body cleanse and release. And again, bringing all your energy in. And the other thing I want you to do is, in this process, bringing in this beautiful divine white light that's coming through the center of your crown, filling up any gaps, any holes where you left energy. And just feeling that white light coming in through the middle channel of your body, going through every single energy center, through your limbs, all your organs, every single chakra, every single meridian, just filling up those spaces. And as you're doing this, just feeling it fill up your heart. And I want you to imagine that as this is filling up your heart, that this heart, this light, this luminosity within you, your pure essence, because this is all that exists within you right now, is expanding in frequency. It's just expanding outwardly, beyond your body, beyond your aura, into the ethers. Just tuning into that heart center, tuning into your passion, your purpose, the woman you're here. And if you're a man listening to this, all of it, tuning into what is it that you are beaming out to the world? Who is your highest expression? What is she here to radiate into the world? Just feeling that moment, feeling that in your chest, in your heart, in your solar plexus, feeling it all over your body. Feeling into your deeper gifts, whether they're being shown or not. Feeling into your why, your way, your path. What is it you want people to know? And this might be even beyond what you're doing right now, or it might be exactly what you're doing. Either way, it's all good. Just breathing, remembering to breathe while you're in this. You can even place your hand on your heart. Just tune in for a moment as to, are you asking yourself that question with just compassionate curiosity? Are you expressing this into the world? Are you fully owning everything that you're here to bring to the earth, to the world, to your mission? Maybe you're in the awareness of something that's missing, that's something that's needs to be integrated, healed, and that's coming forth. Just trust and feel whatever is coming forward. The body is so powerful. And at the same time, I'm sending all my light, my love, my energy towards all of you in this, whether you're in the replay, just amplifying whatever that is that you need to know within yourself. Because that's what's important. I'm never here. I never tell someone anything they don't know already within themselves. I just help pull that out within them. And that's such an important piece of this work, right? So just feeling into. And then taking another deep breath in and holding whatever that is in your heart right now. Getting really excited about it, even if it's new, especially if it's new. And I want you to just integrate it into your heart right now. You don't have to do anything with it. Just let it sit in your heart. Letting that light just kind of come back in just a little bit into yourself. Knowing that you can expand on it anytime you want. And bringing that light back in. feeling the essence of who you are. And just hold that lock and key for a moment as I complete. And just when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Even if you have a notebook, you can put that in the notebook. And the last thing I just want to tell you is that wherever you are, whatever you think, whatever you believe, whatever you feel is exactly what you're meant to believe, feel, think in the moment. Your purpose is your existence, and it's just that willingness to grow and to up level. And as I say, new level, new revel, something new to revel in, a new revelation. And I am going to name this. And if she's listening or going to listen, there's about 3 of my clients and people who have heard me say that, and they thought I said new level, new rebel. And I almost want to change it because that's what we have to do. We have to be in this resilient, rebellious state of owning who we are, because that is the highest rebellious act we can do. Because it's so easy to stay comfortable. It's so easy to stay in just who you are. And if we can bring out that inner sacred rebel and just be more of who we are and be in our vastness of essence and be in our legacy, live out our legacy, then we fulfilled our purpose. And so I am sending everyone so much love. Thank you for listening. I'd love to know how you experience this. If you have any questions, reach out to me, DM, again, danacanneto.com, and you can grab the free gift, Your Guide to Aligned Purpose and Embodied Living. And I love listening to all of you, and I hope this was helpful. And I look forward to hearing from anybody who has any questions or anything that they want to share through that experience. Bye for now, everyone.